The observation deck of the Frontier's Edge hummed with the low thrum of recycled air, but Elena Voss barely noticed. She sat cross-legged on the metal floor, a stack of laminated star charts spread before her, methodically cutting them into smaller reference cards with her scissors. The blades whispered through the plastic with satisfying precision, snip, snip, a mundane rhythm in the vastness of space. She didn't realize she had an audience. Cub Harrick crouched in the doorway, his amber eyes wide with fascination. At barely 3 cycles old, roughly equivalent to a human 7-year-old, he was small for a crethary, though his retractable claws and double-hinged jaw already marked him as a predator in training. His spotted fur rippled as he leaned forward, watching Elena's hands move with surgical precision. The crethary were apex predators on their homeworld, a species that had clawed their way to the stars through strength and ferocity. Their young were raised in creches where they learned to hunt, to fight, to dominate. They had no concept of tools beyond weapons. Their philosophy was simple. What couldn't be killed with fang and claw wasn't worth killing. Then humanity had arrived at the edge of crethary space, and everything the predator species thought they knew began to unravel. Harrick had been watching the human called Elena Voss for weeks now. She was smaller even than his clutch mother, and possessed no natural weapons. No claws, no fangs, no armored hide. She should have been prey. And yet she commanded the respect of hardened crethary warriors aboard this joint species research vessel. She navigated the stars, repaired complex systems, and moved through her day with a confidence that confused him. Now, watching her hands manipulate the strange tool, Harrick felt something stir in his chest. Curiosity, a trait the crethary encouraged only in the context of studying prey. The scissors gleamed under the artificial lights. 2 blades, crossing and separating, crossing and separating. They moved as extensions of Elena's will, multiplying her effectiveness in ways his claws never could. She could cut straight lines, curves, precise angles. She could create, not just destroy. Harrick's small claws extended unconsciously, mimicking the motion. He brought his hands together, crossing his index claws, then separating them. The air between them remained stubbornly intact. "You know," Elena said without looking up, "it works better with the actual scissors." Harrick froze, caught. His ears flattened against his skull in embarrassment, a gesture no human should have been able to interpret, yet somehow Elena always did. She turned, her dark eyes warm with amusement rather than the dominance challenge he expected. "Come here, Harrick. I won't bite." The irony of a human saying that to a crethary cub wasn't lost on him. But he crept forward anyway, his tail twitching with barely contained excitement. Elena held up the scissors, tilting them so the light caught the metal. "These are called scissors. They're a tool, a device that extends what our hands can do. Humans use lots of tools because we're not as physically strong as many species we've encountered. But you are strong," Harrick blurted, his translator collar rendering his growling speech into standard. "Commander Dex says you fixed the port stabilizer when it was bleeding plasma. He says you went into spaces too small for anyone else." Elena smiled. "That's exactly my point. I'm not strong like Commander Dex. I can't rip a sealed bulkhead open with my bare hands. But I can use a plasma torch, a magnetic wrench, and my small size to accomplish the same goal differently." She held out the scissors. "Want to try?" Harrick's eyes widened. In crethary culture, allowing a cub to handle a weapon was a significant gesture of trust. His small hands trembled as he reached out, then hesitated. "My claws ... will fit through the handles just fine," Elena assured him. "Here, let me show you." She guided his hands, positioning his fingers so different from hers, with their extra joint and retractable talons through the plastic loops. The scissors felt strange in his grip, foreign and wonderful. "Now, gently squeeze the handles together," Elena instructed. Harrick did, and the blades came together with a soft snick. His ears perked up in delight. "Again," Elena said. "Get a feel for the motion." Snick. Snick. It was nothing like using his claws. With his claws, he had to tear, rip, shred. This was different. This was controlled, precise. He could decide exactly where to cut, how deep, at what angle. The scissors didn't tire like his muscles did. They didn't dull like his claws that needed constant sharpening. "Humans make tools for everything, don't we?" Elena said softly, watching understanding bloom in the cub's expression. "We're not the fastest, strongest, or most well-armed species in the galaxy, but we're adaptable. We solve problems. We create solutions. Harrick made another cut through a scrap of laminate. This one straighter than the last. His mind raced with possibilities. If a simple cutting tool could do this, what else could humans teach him? What other tools existed that could make him more capable than his genetics alone allowed? Teacher Voss, he said carefully, using the honorific for the first time, could you show me more tools? Elena's expression softened. This was the moment, the one that every human educator who worked with young non-human species hoped for. The moment when they saw past the differences, past the initial assumptions, and recognized the universal truth. Intelligence thrives on innovation, not just instinct. I'd be honored, Harrick, she replied. But first help me finish cutting these star charts. Then I'll show you what a screwdriver can do. As they worked together, the scissors singing their quiet song, neither of them noticed the other cubs gathering in the doorway. Young Crathuri eyes watched with growing fascination as one of their own wielded a human tool with increasing confidence. By the time the frontier's edge reached its destination 3 months later, 14 Crathuri cubs had requested tool use training from the human crew. Their parents watched with a mixture of concern and pride as their offspring learned to weld, calculate, and construct. Commander Thex found Elena in the mess hall one evening, reviewing lesson plans for her expanding class. You've started a revolution, you know, the massive Crathuri warrior rumbled, his tone unreadable. Elena looked up, meeting his predatory gaze without flinching. Is that a problem, Commander? Thex's lips pulled back, revealing rows of serrated teeth, a Crathuri smile. On the contrary, Voss, my nephew Harrick can now repair his own combat armor. He's the first cub in our family's history to do so. He paused, his expression growing thoughtful. Perhaps there's more than one way to be strong. Elena smiled and returned to her work, the scratch of her pen on paper barely audible above the ship's hum. Outside the viewport, stars wheeled in their eternal dance, bearing witness to a quiet transformation. And in the training room below, Cub Harrick carefully practiced opening and closing a pair of scissors. Each snick a small declaration, I can be more than my claws alone.